Alright, so we're back and we're going to put some doors and maybe some windows in here. And then in the next video we'll put some of the fixtures in. So to put the doors and windows in, I have given you sort of a series of windows and a couple of doors, the overhead door and then the entry doors that you can use as blocks. So we'll go ahead and use these. The first door I'm going to put in is this door here into the concession stand area. And so we know that that door is 4'4" from the end of that wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this door. So if I come over and select copy, select that door, right click to stop the selection set, I'm just going to copy, make a copy of it over to near where I want it. Right, so I'm going to left click here and then right click and enter to stop the command. Now if you look over here, the door needs to be facing the other way, so I'm going to rotate it. There's a couple of different ways to rotate it. I'm going to use the rotate command right here. So if I click rotate, select the object I want to rotate, right click to stop the selection set, and pick the point at which I want to rotate about, so the base point. I can then use my polar to sort of flip it around the other way, right? So I'm going to flip it there. Now, the swing needs to be the other way. So in order to get the swing the other way, I need to mirror that. So I'm going to use the mirror command, select the door, right click to stop the selection set, pick a point to mirror about. And it's not really critical where I pick this point. I just want to make sure that after I pick it, I drag horizontally so it will flip it horizontally, right? So it's as if it's looking in a mirror, right? And then if I left click, it says erase source object, and I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to type, or I can select yes right here, and it will erase the source object. Now I just need to move it into place. So again, it's 4'4" from the wall. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to move, select the door, right click, and I'm going to pick the midpoint of the door, which I don't have that snap running, so I'm just going to right click, shift right click, and do my snap overrides and pick midpoint. And I'll pick the midpoint of that door, and I'll just pick the end point of the stud wall, because I'm just going to assume that all dimensions are from stud. So there's the stud wall. And then I'm going to move that door 4'4". Right, so now it's in the correct vertical, but it's not in the correct horizontal. So I'm going to move it again. Select, right click to stop selection set, pick this point and just move it to there. Okay. Now once I've got that in, I don't want all those lines in between there for the wall. So I'm going to need to trim them out. So if I go to trim, I can pick the cutting edges. So if I pick that and return, I can then come in and it will trim out the lines. And you're going to have to pick the polyline, because it won't trim the block reference. It'll trim the polyline, right? And if you pick on this one, even though it says no, it'll give you the option to pick the polyline. And if you're not getting that option, then what you need to do is make sure that your selection cycling is on. Okay, so now I've got a door and it's trimmed out the inside of that. Now, these doors, you can assume that they're in the middle of the wall, so you could just copy, select that door, copy it from shift right click midpoint of here to shift right click midpoint of there, right? And get it sort of in the right horizontal place, right? And then just move it. So I'm going to go to the move command, select this, move it from this base point to that point, and then again trim it out, right? So trim, pick that, And you could do a crossing box right there and see, let's see if it'll work. Trim, pick that line and pick that line and right click and see if you do a crossing box, it'll just trim everything that it can in between those two. So dragging from right to left and then enter. And then you can actually mirror this one over to there. So you could go mirror, select that, right click, pick the midpoint of this, flip it over there, and then trim. Whoops, sorry, I didn't complete the command, so it erased it. So mirror, pick that, right click to stop the selection set, shift right click, midpoint, left click to determine the plane, the mirror, and then I don't want it to erase, and that's the default selection, so I'm going to right click and select enter. Now I can use the trim command to trim that, pick that line and pick that line, and then I'm just going to do a crossing box. I'm going to right click to stop the edge selection, and then I'm going to left click. Once it says trim down here, I'm going to left click and drag as a crossing box across there, and it'll trim those out. And you can do the same thing with the windows. Okay, so you can move those windows into place and these doors into place and do the same thing.